morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm here, and I just realized why I don't do a couple things that I'm doing right now, and I have to see if this works. So I'm going to fix something during the intro. But anyway, I'm glad you're here. Biden was in Tulsa yesterday, made a big speech. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about a little bit about the media, and I made a prediction. What was it? It was 2 or 3 days ago. I made a prediction that's already coming true, and I just laughed when I saw this. So this is going to be good, and we'll talk about a little bit. We got a little Governor DeSantis news. We got Jonathan Turley has a couple articles out that are interesting, and so we're gonna do all the stuff that we do, like we do it, on the way we do it, the way you do the things you do. You gotta smile so bright. And okay, I'm not gonna sing the whole thing. Anyway, we'll do all that after the intro. Johnny, please play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. All right, let's stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet. And welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel on this lovely Wednesday, the 2nd of June 2021, and I just noticed that my chat's not even in the thing here. What the hell's going on? That was the thing I was going to fix, but I realized I hadn't fixed it yet. So now there it is. That's the chat, and let me fit that in there right. Good. All right. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy I'm here because, you just never know if I'm going to make it home on time for the show. But it's been pretty good at the good old UPS this week. And so poof, here I am. So like I said, I want to talk about Biden's speech a little bit, and there's a couple articles I have about that because he made a speech on it was the 100th anniversary of the burning down of the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Call it a massacre. I think I think 39 people died. It was interesting. It was kind of a race riot of sorts, but there was also, there certainly was an element of jealousy of this particular side of town that was doing really well, and the poor whites in the town were not doing as well. And so then there happened to be a couple incidents where people got riled up and started squaring off, and then the whites of the town overwhelmed the town and burned down the very affluent black side of town. So it was a terrible event in American history. It was a riot. It was things. It was a terrible thing. And so Joe Biden was in Tulsa yesterday to commemorate this event. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, how the remaining 3 survivors from that era weren't going to be at the event now because some disputes of how much they were going to be paid and honorarium and stuff like that. But so that's the main topic. That's the name of the show, and part of it is a couple of things Joe Biden said in that speech. Maybe do one of these. What the hell? And if you can't see me, it means it's a head scratcher. So anyway, before we get into that, of course, I'm going to say good morning to everybody. Now, I had a little issue with the chat, too, but it looks like it's working just fine. By the way, I do have my cup of reparations coffee in the Trail Stop Tavern cup today. They gave me one because I do my show from there every Saturday. If you hadn't been to a Trail Stop stream, it's nothing like what we do here. Trust me, it's nothing like we do here. It's basically me and Lady Boomer drinking Bloody Marys, her drinking mimosas, and us laughing about stuff. Occasionally we have guests that we bring in, family members, friends, whatever, and we talk about whatever is on our minds. And sometimes, some of the things on our minds, Oh boy. I just wonder, where did these people come from? Anyway. All right, let's say good morning, everybody. In the chat first today was Gunfox61, who gets the bell. And thank you again for being the administrator of our Discord server. If you're not a member of the Discord server, you can that'll pop in the chat up every once in a while. You can click on it and jump in our Discord if you're into Discord. Always lots of good news stories. Plus, Gunfox has occasional soirees at the racetracks. He's an auto racing enthusiast and volunteers at several races. So some good pictures there. Also, good morning, Jonathan Peterson's in the house. Hi, y'all. He says, good morning, Keenan. Good morning, Advocatus Diaboli, the Devil's Advocate. Good morning, Selecta Boy.
Yeah, boy.
Also, good morning, People's Front of Canada. Hot here yesterday. First warm day of the year. Yeah, you know, it was warm here yesterday, too, and it's supposed to get up into the 90s by the end of the week. Believe it or not, in Minnesota, we do get weather in the 90s. It happens, really, honestly. It's not always cold here. The summer, it's hot, and the winter, it's cold. So anyway, also, good morning, Sterling. If you're a Trump supporter, please seek help. Oh, I see. Oh, wait, are you say bye, folks? Where'd you go, Sterling? Don't hit and run. Good Lord. I mean, some people are Trump supporters, some people are not. Just enjoy the show. Gotta tell you. Apparently, is Sterling still here? Here, let me do this. Let me see this. Nope, Sterling hit left. Well, that's too bad, because you would have enjoyed the show even if you're not a fan of, or even if you are not a fan of Trump. I'm not all about Trump all the time. Anyway, just get help. Please seek help yourself. Hey, good morning, Tarai Deos. I spent way too much time on Sterling. Sterling's not even here. Hello, Tarai Deos again. Also, good morning, Scrappy Pirate, who is the designer of one of my items in my merch store. Thank you again for that. Also, good morning, MC.
Hammer time.
And Lord Stanhope. Good morning, Asian Research Directorate. Ken Lee. Huh? Yawn. Oh, hi. It's not that early. Come on now. Also, good morning to Ost San is in the house. Fox P2. Let's see. Oh, skip. Did I miss? Is anybody there? Tyler F. What's happening? Also, good morning to Tall Person. Oh, speaking of Tall Person, thank you, Tall Person, for being the first sponsor of the day through Streamlabs. And Tall Person,
you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day.
And Tall Person says with the deuce in the Streamlabs tip jar, says, Happy National Rocky Road Ice Cream Day. Now that's very, very specific, Tall Person. Is it actually just strictly Rocky Road Ice Cream Day? Or is it always, it's all kinds of ice cream? I just need a clarification there, but apparently it's National Rocky Road Ice Cream Day. Boy, they have a day for everything. That's super specific. But anyway, thank you for being here and thank you for sponsoring the show. If you want to sponsor the show, you can do that through YouTube Super Chats or Streamlabs. The link's right there in the chat right now. And if you don't want to give your money to Susan and want more of it to go to the person you're sponsoring, that's a good option. Also, Cashapp and Venmo are in the description down below. But if you use Streamlabs and or Super Chats, I will definitely read your stuff on the show with a caveat that I have I reserve the right to edit for, I don't edit too much, but I edit for sometimes YouTube viability. That's the word, viability, because occasionally there's some shit you can't say on YouTube, but you can write it in the chat and I'll read it for the most part and whatnot. Anyway, good morning also Attack Alpaca, Pincalo the Driving Ape Man, and I think I already said Ken Lee. Yes, I did. When is Covfefe Day? Well, I don't know when Covfefe Day. Every day is coffee day for me. Got my reparations coffee right here, Anyway. All right, let's get into the show a little bit, or not a lot of, how about a lot of bit? By the way, real quick, thank you to Angel Tibbs, Tyler F. for retweeting the show. Please share this stream. I didn't put the pinned comment at the top of the chat, but please share this stream out with those you love and those you don't love and, everybody else. I'm not too all right, let's get into Biden. So first of all, Biden made a weird statement here, maybe I'll save that for now. Let's do this first. So Biden made this speech, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? And it was during the anniversary of this Tulsa massacre, right? I don't know if you've read it. Some people have never heard of it. Some people have. So there was a place that was considered, we called Black Wall Street, where a bunch of black entrepreneurs and business people, whatever, all lived in Tulsa in this very nice area of town that they built businesses and, you know, and basically, you know, they did the thing that a lot of immigrants have done in our history in the United States, where they all moved to a certain area and supported each other and, you know, had businesses and whatnot and just prospered, right? Prospered as a community. And there was another nearby community that wasn't so prosperous, that was kind of a rival community of sorts. And there was an incident where I'm not sure of the complete details. I got to read up on this history, but there was a place where a young black man was accused of something with a white woman or something. And so that person was arrested, and some people went there to protect the man. And some were World War I vets. They came in their uniforms and had guns and there was things like that. And it turned out that some of the white people wanted to lynch the guy, right? And the black men were not allowing this to happen. And it devolved into where the white people in this other part of town came over and basically it turned into a riot, turned into a huge riot. Most of the black businesses were burned down. 39 people died. It was a terrible incident in U.S. history, right? And there's a whole bunch of factors that I don't have the details of, that I'm learning more as I listen to different people talk about the history. So anyways, so yesterday, Joe Biden, because, you know, we need to make sure that we keep the Joe Biden and a whole host of grievance grifters decided to use this event to make some speeches, and I shouldn't even be like that. It was commemorating the time, and there are a few people who were still alive that they were children, young children, when this happened, from that era. But anyway, it was one of those things where, you know, this was a thriving black community doing very well, very affluent, and basically got run out of town. Not a good event. So anyway, Biden goes and has this speech, right? And one of the first things that, well, let's talk about the speech first, and then we'll get into why I called this stream Joe Biden Thinks We're Helpless. And I'm speaking of the melanated folks. Okay, wait a minute. The white people didn't want to lynch him. They didn't want the black people to free the suspect. The black people thought he was going to be lynched, but he wasn't going to be. Well, yeah, those are factors. Those are all factors, though. I mean, you know, it's if you think what the experience of black people were in the 1920s, where they thought that he was going to be lynched because of maybe their experience somewhere else, that's, you know, that's fully part of it. It very well could have been a misunderstanding like that, but you know, it did in fact happen, and the entire black town got. The last person to be lynched in Tulsa before the race riot was a white guy. Oh yeah, I don't doubt that either. Thank you, Asan, for being a little more update on it than me, because I don't know all the details. But you know, the end result though was the entire black side of town got burned down basically and destroyed, and the black people basically run out of town and whatnot. And so let's just say it didn't work out well for anybody, to say the least. So anyway, Biden, like I said, decides to have a speech at Tulsa, and I'm going to give you a couple different takes on it. One from the New York Post, one from PJ Media and whatnot. Oh, I should probably have that's weird. That's because I don't have this set up either. You know, P-Dawg, sometimes you just need a producer, because let's try this. All right, there we go. Now, there, watch this. Ding, there we go. So, this is a critique of the speech by David Marcus at the New York Post, divisive and false Tulsa speech. The 100th anniversary of the Tulsa massacre, in which black residents were murdered in bloody riots, was an opportunity for Joe Biden to be the uniter he promised to be. Instead, The president gave a speech with more partisan ire than lofty ideas, more condemnation of America than belief in it. The horror of Tulsa, where at least 39 died, and likely many more as whites burned down Black Wall Street, quote unquote, is a too often forgotten dark chapter of our history, and it's right to highlight it. But Biden suggested that the nation hasn't come very far in the past century and diminished the tragedy by pretending today's voting laws are somehow equivalent. He accused Republicans seeking to secure election integrity of being simply un-American and engaging in a tireless assault on the right of the vote and an unprecedented assault on our democracy. It's the same kind of hyperbole that he used when he called Georgia laws Jim Crow that show Biden is uninterested in truth. He just wants to score political points. Progressives like to suggest the objections to critical race theory in the 1619 Project and its ilk is about covering up our racist past. It isn't. We should teach American history, warts and all. The problem is that they want to suggest that racism is all America is, that it's never gotten better and likely never will. It's a deeply pessimistic vision. Biden's Tulsa speech wasn't just divisive, it sent a clear message to his own partisans that theirs alone is the true and just way to see things. Those who do not accept his progressive vision of America as deeply racist, he cast as those very racist. According to the president, the hate that led to the massacre never went away. It is a desperate, fearful, and false view of the country he leads. Barack Obama's 2008 race speech in Philadelphia balanced the sins and the achievements of America. In Biden's version, it is all sin, confession, and repentance. Biden made absolutely no mention of any improvement in racism in America in 100 years. The closest he got was celebrating that corporate television ads now have more mixed race couples. The truth is that over this past century, the United States has made incredible strides toward equality of opportunity. In no place on earth does one's race or religion matter less in achieving success. Thank God Joe Biden's vision of a dark and racist America is nowhere near reality, but it would be nice to have a president who understands that. Hear, hear. So more about, let's just show you one. I want to show you one humorous clip. Well, I don't know if it's humorous or if it's just sad. Okay, this is this clip. Well, now let me go into this article first. So one of the things Biden talked about in his speech was, good morning, Jonas Pedersen. Good morning, always lost in something else, aka alone. Good morning, Kessler. I don't know if I said good morning already or not. I don't think I did. And I think I'm caught up on the chat there. Okay. By the way, reminder. Please, if you like what we do, hit the like button sometime during the show. I'll remind you often because, you know, we just want to have that ratio of likes up in the stratosphere. Also, if you share the stream, hit the arrow down here somewhere. There's an arrow down there that says share. Click that arrow, a couple more clicks, and you'll share it on whatever social media you could choose from that list. And if you like the show and you want to sponsor the show, the tip jar is open. YouTube Super Chats and Streamlabs. That link will be in the chat. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. You know the thing. Part of Biden's speech that just irked me, and I saw the clip on Twitter, where he said that black entrepreneurs are just as capable as whites, but they don't have lawyers and accountants. Which I was thinking to myself, okay, wait, let me show you it first, because you actually have to see what he said here. It's kind of comical. It's full screen there. There we go. Listen to this.
Data shows young black entrepreneurs are just as capable of succeeding given the chance as white entrepreneurs are. But they don't have lawyers, they don't have accountants, but they have great ideas. Does anyone doubt this whole nation would be better off from the investments those people make? And I promise you, that's why I set up this National Small Business Administration that's much broader.
Okay, so first of all, Mushmouth here. This is very similar to that time when he was talking about when he said that black kids are just as capable, or let's see, what did he say? He said something. He said something about black kids just being just as capable as smart kids, white kids. Let me see if I can find that clip, because that one's a classic. Joe Biden, black kids quote. Here we go. Poor kids. Oh, please have a link to this clip when he says poor kids are just as talented as white kids. And then he said, and this now Vox completely lies here when he says wealthy kids. He said, we have this notion somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. And then he said, wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it. Think about it. I wish they had they had the video. So anyway, it's the same thing he does here, though, where he's saying, young black, listen to it again now that you've got the context of what he said. It's like, look, I would say, so wait, listen to what he says. Then I gotta tell you something, because this is crazy. All I have to say is Baltimore schools and how much the kids are failing. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
Get those loans. The data shows young black entrepreneurs are just as capable of succeeding given the chance as white entrepreneurs are.
Okay, so first of all, most entrepreneurs, at least when they first are starting out, regardless of what their race is, what their color is, what their skin type is, what their religion is, what their sexuality is, whatever, most entrepreneurs starting out probably don't have lawyers involved, probably don't have accountants, because you're starting out as an entrepreneur, you probably don't have the lawyers and accountants. It's not like white people all... Okay, raise your hand if you have a business attorney and an accountant, just by default if you're white. I don't think so. But he goes on to say,
but they don't have lawyers, they don't have accountants, but they have great ideas.
Now, is it just me? Or does that imply, one, that all white people who are entrepreneurs have lawyers and accountants, and that black people who are entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs, is he saying that we're just too stupid to have accountants and lawyers? I am an entrepreneur, and I don't have an accountant and I don't have a lawyer, but I might, I do okay. And what the things that I do, it's almost like he truly believes that black people are helpless. And I gotta tell you, and if you listen to quotes from Joe Biden over several years, it's kind of a theme in his speaking patterns. And it's very maddening. So anyway, who wrote about this? Daily Caller or Daily Wire wrote about this. Joe Biden, black entrepreneurs just as capable as whites, but they don't have lawyers and accountants. President Joe Biden faced criticism on Tuesday over remarks he made while speaking in Tulsa, Oklahoma on race-related issues, saying that black entrepreneurs are just as capable as white entrepreneurs, but they don't have lawyers or accountants. The data shows young black... Okay, we just heard his quote. Does anyone doubt this whole nation be better off by investments people make? Okay, no. And I promise that's why. And then he says, why I set up this National Small Business Administration, which I think already existed. That's much broader because they're going to get those loans. Well, entrepreneurs who have a good idea tend to get good loans anyway. Biden faced widespread criticism over remark, including from Jeffrey A. Dove Jr. Why is it every time he speaks about the black community, he makes us seem incapable of the simplest tasks, whether it's getting an ID card, using the internet to make an appointment, and now this. John Gabriel also, this just in, young black entrepreneurs have lawyers and accountants. Britt Who, how is this not a racist comment? It kind of is, isn't it? Are we talking about how we're so stupid? Good morning, K-Show. Good morning, Katie Skate. Anyway, and Steve Cordes, can someone at the White House please tell Pop that it's 2021 and not 1921? Well, you know, in 1921, I'm pretty sure the entrepreneurs on Black Wall Street had lawyers and accountants. They were probably black lawyers and accountants, for that matter. I think, doesn't John, who is it that, what's his name? LeBron James, doesn't he have a lawyer and an accountant and a manager he has all kinds of stuff. Okay, but now they have a lot of white people talking about this. Let's see. Rita Pahidi, Biden and his bigotry of low expectations. Black can't get ID to vote or use computers to book vaccine appointments or hire accountants when in business. Yeah, that's pretty much. That's a list of things dumb shit he said this year. Anyway, imagine if a white guy said this nonsense. Oh, wait. Yeah, he's a dumbass. Oh, and Rasmussen's report. Imagine if a black woman had millions of viewers on Facebook, built up over many years of diligent work, and overnight Facebook demonetized her videos, destroying all she'd built, apparently only because she was a conservative. Government should prohibit this, but it doesn't. Oh, I wonder who they might be talking about. Are they talking about Candace? I don't know. Anyway, lots of people. Laverne Spicer. I'm black, and I know exactly where to get lawyers and accountants, you racist. Yes, Queen. All right. So anyway, translation, even the smart Negroes still need help. I'm so disgusted. Damn, that's boy, they got a whole list of stupid people, or people, not stupid, people talking about stupid Biden. Anyway, more about his speech. Biden also warned us to watch out for the white guys, which that's probably some good. Wait a minute. What? Speaking of Tulsa this afternoon, Old White Joe declared terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today. I'm just going to let that soak in for a second. Is it now? Is it though? You know what they say about the big lie. It gains acceptance through relentless repetition. And that's what Joe's doing here. And that's certainly what's happening with the claim that white supremacy is the biggest terror threat the nation faces today. A bit of reality. It wasn't white supremacists who rioted all last summer in Portland, Seattle, Kenosha, Wisconsin, New York, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., and numerous other cities that have already been forgotten, and who are still at it in Portland and casting a long shadow over the entire nation with a long hint that violence will ensue if any racial injustice, however exaggerated, misrepresented, or fabricated. The ones casting that long shadow are not the white supremacists, but leftists, and I would add white leftists, Antifa, and then Black Lives Matter, the organization, or well, the protests that turn into extracurricular activities. When Biden talks about white supremacy, what he really means are ordinary citizens who oppose the dominant political philosophy. Lies like what Biden is spreading here are in the service of solidifying the hegemony of that philosophy. Whoever wrote this errant and devices agitprop for Biden is echoing a common line on the left these days. Former New York City Police Commissioner Bill Bratton told Shepard Smith recently that for the last 20 years, our biggest concern was international terrorism, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, but now it's here and it's us and it's the citizens of the United States, some of whom are rebelling against everything we thought we believed in for the last 300 to 400 years. Apparently, Bratton subscribes to the 1619 Project, which dates America's founding not from 1776, but from 1619, so as to add 150 years of slavery and oppression. Former FBI Director James Comey has repeated this nonsense. Asked by a British broadcaster if he thought far-right extremism in the U.S. was a greater danger to the country than Islamist terrorism, Comey, the big, tall, ugly, dumbass, lion son of a bitch, answered in the affirmative and added, the threat has slowly risen as Donald Trump and those around him have withdrawn the control rods, America has always had a radioactive stew of racist, conspiracy-minded, misogynist people oriented towards violence. We've always had that in this country, but we've managed over generations to contain it inside a containment building as you would a nuclear waste pile, and put rods down into it which were cultural, and that calmed the radiation. Over the last 5 years, Donald Trump and those around him have pulled the rods out with signals and dog whistles sometimes, and sometimes explicitly. Okay, please, James Comey, give me a specific example of when they said something explicitly, as though something were going to be, that just this, what do they call this, far right extreme? Give me some explicit. Even the damn selfie insurrection wasn't all that extremist. I mean, did they burn anything down? Yeah, they got in scuffles with police, but even that little riot, where they eventually let them in very peacefully into the Capitol building. Remember, the police were negotiating. They said, "Hey, y'all can come in. You just got to remain peaceful." And then the guys in the front of the line said, "Yes, we got to remain peaceful." And then they walked through the ropes, just walked in. Nobody stopping them. You know what I mean? But yeah, that insurrection, the great selfie insurrection. A former Homeland Security Department counterterrorism official, Nate Snyder, likewise affirmed that the biggest terror threat the nation faces today comes from violent white supremacists, neo-Nazis, sovereign citizens, and militia movements. Give me examples, and let's compare those examples to other unrest in our nation. Yeah, sure, Nate. We remember white supremacists rioting and burning down cities all over the country. We remember all those white supremacist terror attacks. The real terrorists only get mentioned to claim that, the real terrorists only get mentioned to claim that the white supremacist, whoops, what the hell did I do there? I meant to do this.
You're fucking a white male!
Are even more dangerous. Last September, the far left hate site now, I don't call Raw Story a far left hate site, but they are left. The left hate site, Raw Story, took the opportunity of the 19th anniversary of the September 11th, 2001 jihad terror attack that killed nearly 3,000 people to advance the claim that nowadays the foremost threat the nation faces is not from jihadis, but from, of course, far-right white supremacists who love Trump. It's as predictable as it is absurd. The Raw Story piece, written by Alex Henderson and picked up from the even louder alternate, claimed that although the 9/11 terrorist attack underscored the dangerous fanaticism of far-right Islamist groups, countless Republicans and supporters of Donald Trump have ignored or downplayed another terrorist threat from the far right, white supremacy and white nationalism. And that threat is alive and well in the Trump era. Bullshit. Where's that attack that killed thousands of people? I'm sorry, even the selfie insurrection. Notice those people didn't kill anybody, but the police did. A couple people died of heart attacks. Anyway, Henderson's claim wasn't original either. Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat from Mogadishu. All right, wait a minute. Let me get caught up here, because thank you to Rye Deos for sponsoring the show. And to Rye Deos,
You are the new Streamlamp Superstar sponsor of the day.
yes, you are. First of all, with the 5-spot tip in the tip jar, thank you for sponsoring the show. Who says, per the government extremist training, an in group wants to destroy an out group. Isn't the government the ultimate in group? I believe that would be correct. Also to Rideos with the bullet of the 223 variety. Thank you again for being the superstar donor of the day. Oh, let me fix this now. There we go. There we go. Now you're really the superstar donor today. Oh no, this is Scrappy Pirate. I'm sorry, Scrappy Pirate with the bullet. I don't know what the hell's going on here. Who says these people are so immensely delusional. Bring back mental institutions and throw every member of the media in them. They must live in a borderline schizophrenic state. Well, that very well could be. That very well could be. They certainly have issues. Good morning, Ebony Williams. Welcome to the show. Nice to see you. Did I miss anybody? I think I got BoschTube, right? I said hi, BoschTube. Well, I am saying hi, BoschTube now. All right, continue on. Sure, because, okay, Henderson's claim wasn't original either. Oh, yeah. Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat from Mogadishu, in a 2018 interview, fed the fires of the white supremacist terror hysteria when she asserted that our country should be more fearful of white men across our country because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. Omar has already offered a ready solution: profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men. Jeez, God, I'm wondering what she's talking about. So white men are actually causing most of the deaths in this country. I am really curious where she got that factoid from. Certainly not from any crime statistics or anything like that. I mean, I'm that one big on bringing up crime statistics, but I know that for a fact that that's not where the dead people are coming from. Of course, she's saying terror attacks, but I can't even think of a terror. I can't even think of really any right-wing people who've actually killed people other than, they did have that one thing where they said all 18 extremist murders in 1 year were all right-wing extremists, except then you go through the list and realize, oh, these weren't the murders themselves had nothing to do with ideology. One of them, they killed their own kid. One of them, they got in a fight over a car that one was trying to sell the other. None of these weren't like ideologically related attacks. In many of the cases, it was some guy who had been in prison, okay, and he had to be part of the white guy gang, because in prison, in order to survive, sometimes you got to join a gang to get protected. And then when he got out of prison, he and his wife accidentally killed their son and buried him in the yard. And they called that a right-wing extremist murder. What the hell did them killing their son have to do with being a right-wing extremist? Nothing. But that's what they counted. That was like, of the 18 examples, 16 were of that vein. None of them had anything to do with their ideology. It was just where they got in a fight or they got in a murder. One killed a guy that rammed him with a car, shit like that. They didn't kill somebody at a Black Lives Matter protest. They didn't do a bomb in the Senate in the United States of America. They didn't do anything like that. Anyway, sure, because there are a lot of radicalized white men. They're virtually all in Antifa who have killed people. There's a couple examples of that. No, nobody wants to talk about that. Anyway, it's propaganda, and you can see that article. By the way, every article I do highlight, mention in the show will be added to the description after the show. So if you want to come back and click that link, it'll have every link to every article in one tab, the one tab link it's called, and you can pull up stories if you want to make videos or write blogs or just want to read the rest of the story. You can do that there at the end of the show. So there we go. Let's continue on. Let's see. Now I already did this. We already saw Joe this. Oh, also Biden called out Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema in the speech, even though they support 90% of what the Democrats do. President Biden took a swipe Tuesday at a pair of moderate Democrats while attempting to explain why the most ambitious parts of his agenda haven't passed through Congress. Quote, "I hear all the folks on TV saying, why doesn't Biden get this done?" the president said during remarks in Tulsa commemorating the 100th anniversary of the city's race massacre. "Well, because Biden only has a majority of effectively 4 votes in the House, and it's a tie in the Senate, he went on, with 2 members of the Senate who vote with my Republican friends. Now, we know he was talking about Joe Manchin. We know he was talking about Kristen Sinema, but the statement is false. Now, Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema do not agree with the idea of getting rid of the filibuster or packing the courts, but they vote with the Democrats the vast majority of the time. So, no, though Biden didn't mention any names, he seemed to be referring to Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. Both senators have been emphatic that they will not vote to remove the legislative filibuster, which requires most legislation to garner 60 votes to end debate. Now, they say to pass, but no, to end debate on legislation so that they can actually vote on the legislation. Democrats have recently blamed the filibuster for blocking the passage of sweeping changes to voting rights and gun control laws. Last week, Republicans used the filibuster to block the formation of a bipartisan commission to investigate the deadly riot at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Now, I think Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema are, who, they vote reliably Democrat with the Democrats, but I think they realize, and they're smarter than some of these other Democrats, they realize if they do vote to end the filibuster and, the things that the Democrats want them to, they realize that it's going to come back to bite the Democrats in the ass. Are these people that stupid that they can't see this? What happened when, what's his name, Harry Reid went with got rid of the filibuster for judicial nominees, right? Why do you think we have a 6-3 Supreme Court right now? Thank you, Harry Reid. So you make the changes. See, the Democrats think that you make changes because Democrats are going to be in power forever. Yeah, there's this. Our government swings back and forth more than one of those parties that people do that swapping thing. You know what I'm talking about. Speaking of which, I have a story about that today. Pretty funny one. In fact, I'm going to finish the show with a funny story. Anyway, Manchin is seen as particularly a sharp thorn in Biden's side due to his skepticism of key parts of the president's agenda. The senator has balked at raising a corporate tax rate to 28% and has described the president's $1.8 trillion American Families Plan as costing an uncomfortable amount of money. Well, good for Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin happens to be in a very red state, and so Democrats are he's covering his ass, and same with Sinema. Arizona is not exactly a blue state, so to speak. Holy shit, I've never seen her. Anyway, so and despite opprobrium from Biden, Manchin and Sinema don't seem to have any problem showing their support when actual votes are taken. According to 538, the two have voted with Biden's position 100% of the time, more than progressive stalwarts like Elizabeth Warren, who's 96.7% and part-time percent of the time, and Bernie Sanders 96.6% of the time. So spokespeople for Manchin and Sinema did not immediately respond to the post request for comment. So yeah, they still vote with Biden on things except for this thing. They're not gonna do that. Try to get rid of the filibuster because they know it's going to come back to bite them in the ass if the Republicans come back and take over the Senate, which is likely. And in the House, holy shit, that's going to be interesting in 2022, especially with some of these districts redrawn and reapportionment and all that shit. Okay, next. Oh, okay. I think we're done with this. I thought I had another story on that. Okay, let's just get into some just general news now. A Republican Congresswoman's home was vandalized with Antifa symbols on Memorial Day. Now, I'm always skeptical, regardless of whose side does this, because it's fascinating that these people who did the vandalism did it only on the sidewalks, but I'm going to read this anyway. Republican South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace's home was vandalized with Antifa symbols and profanity on Memorial Day, the freshman congresswoman announced on Tuesday. Multiple Circle A anarchist symbols and messages such as all politicians are bastards, no gods, no masters, fuck you Nancy, and press the PRO Act were spray painted on Mace's home and sidewalk, according to pictures of the vandalism she posted on her Twitter account. Mace, who voted against the PRO Act in March, the bill which passed the House in March on a largely party-line vote, aims to strengthen protections for workers' unions. Okay, actually, it's to it was an act to give unions a lot more power. But anyway, in the early morning hours of Memorial Day, my home where I was raising my 2 children was vandalized with Antifa symbols and profanity. Mace wrote, although my kids and I are thankfully fine, these criminal acts are unacceptable no matter your politics. So anyway, and then Charleston police are currently investigating the incident after Mace filed a report with the department. I really hope this is not a hoax, especially by a congresswoman. But anyway, it isn't the first time Mace's property has been vandalized. Her car was keyed with expletives in October, about a month before she won her election, according to Fox News. 3 parks in Mace's community were also targeted with vandalism over the Memorial Day weekend. Charleston police told the Post and Courier one of the parks was vandalized with an anarchist symbol, the outlet reported. So, yeah, that's probably, it's all over the town, so I guess it's not just there. I hadn't seen all the pictures. I only saw the pictures that were on her sidewalk, but apparently they also did the same thing to her house. So it's the ones where... like they say the house is vandalized, but they're always vandalized on just the easily clean surfaces or the surfaces that are, you can power wash. But apparently they actually did this on the side of her house too. So, but anyway, all right, let's move on. Let's see here. In Denver, a school board member, a BLM activist, has been accused I don't mean to laugh, but accused of molesting 62 children. Not good. Denver school board member Tay Anderson, a BLM activist and possibly the youngest black elected official in Colorado, has been accused of sex crimes ranging from inappropriate touching to violent acts of rape by 62 youngsters, 61 of whom are here illegally and seem likely to be easy targets, one of whom was young as 14 years old. Good God! What's wrong with you? Oh, hello, T-Ball. What's up? Why is my name on the shirt? What shirt? My shirt? I don't know. Ian Miles Chong was quick to jump on Anderson's Twitter throat with a copy of Anderson's tweet where he calls for BLM riots and declares Antifa isn't real. So this is the guy right here. I love to see where Black Lives Matter as an organization called folks to loot and burn down cities. I'd also love to know the myth about the organization of Antifa. Last time I checked, the organization doesn't exist. Well, now he has new sexual assault allegations against him. The Washington Post referred to Anderson as the face of the Denver protest. The Colorado Herald posted text from Anderson to children with many heart emojis saying, "Let's be friends." There is a petition on change.org calling for Anderson's arrest. Anderson tweeted his innocence over the holiday weekend, but stepped down from the school board because schools and pederasts don't mix well when the cops are sniffing around. Ouch, babe. That's a little bit rough. Who wrote this? Was this Tyler McNeil? No, Kevin Downey Jr. That's a little saucy there. So here's his statement from Director Anderson. These unsubstantiated false allegations have caused a great deal of trauma to our entire district, and our students deserve better. These false claims have put my family and I in harm's way, and now, as a father and son, I must protect those I love first. Therefore, I will be stepping back from everyday board functions until the completion of the independent investigation. I am confident the ongoing investigation will prove what I have said from the day one, and that is I've never sexually assaulted anyone. I look forward to returning in the coming months to continue to fight for Denver students. I am not willing to be a distraction to the important work of Denver Public Schools or the important investigation which must occur at this time. I will not be making further comments until this investigation is completed, at which time I intend to return to the job I was duly elected. So again, this is just an accusation. He is innocent until proven guilty. But it's interesting that, this out of blue, 62 youngsters, not just one, not just two, 62. So it'll be interesting. Anderson was already under investigation after a rape accusation by a group called Black Lives Matter 5280 and called him out on this tweet. Oh, okay. What's this? Mention of sexual assault and commitment to restorative justice. They state in late February, a woman came forward to BLM 5280 alleging that director Tay Anderson is the perpetrator of her sexual assault. At the request of the alleged survivor, we are publicly sharing this information in hopes of ensuring her and all of our safety and well-being. We trust that our supporters and community partners, as well as Director Anderson's supporter and community partners, will be mindful of the struggle in outing oneself as a survivor of sexual assault, particularly when bringing allegations forth against a person is a position of power and influence. Is in a position of power and influence. As such, the alleged survivor has requested to remain anonymous at this time. Please respect her boundaries. And then it goes on. You can read the rest of that, but the list is okay. Oh, that makes it 63 then, which is enough to make Bill Cosby fidgety. The Colorado Herald said while Denver Public Schools continues to dodge the issue and protect its prodigal son, the continued deflection of responsibility for protecting underage students by DPS is saddening and frightening. So there you go. Good God, don't want any more of that happening. Moving on, the mayor of D.C. has been defending the use of tear gas against Black Lives Matter. What a racist. Wait a minute. As a black woman, after she said that after denouncing Trump, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is defending the city's use of tear gas last year against Black Lives Matter protesters after she denounced President Donald Trump for the same damn thing. Although the federal authorities did not, in fact, use tear gas. Last year, Democrats, including Bowser and President Joe Biden, falsely accused the Trump administration of using tear gas to clear peaceful protesters from Lafayette Square in front of the White House for a presidential photo op. As Breitbart News recently noted, the protesters were not peaceful. They had been cleared by the U.S. Park Police according to a decision that had nothing to do with the photo op, and federal officers used pepper balls, not tear gas. Mayor Bowser denounced the clearing of the protesters at the time. However, she is now in court defending D.C. Metro Police for using tear gas to disperse the crowds, and the Department of Justice is also fighting the lawsuit. Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley, who I'm going to mention a couple more times today, noted Tuesday that the lawsuit revealed that Bowser's own administration had used tear gas, unlike federal authorities, to disperse demonstrators merely 1 block away from Lafayette Square. Now, this is Turley's talking here. What is so striking is that the lawyer, Richard Sobecki, represents the D.C. government of Mayor Muriel Bowser, who condemned the federal government for its clearing of the area and alleged use of tear gas. Much of the media lionized Bowser for her stance at the time. She received national acclaim for painting Black Lives Matter on the street next to the park and renaming it Black Lives Matter Plaza. Now, 1 year later, Bowser is keeping the BLM Plaza but opposing the BLM protesters. Her administration insisted in court that the protesters were legitimately tear gassed by the Metropolitan Police to enforce her curfew that night. Now, with Trump out of the White House, Bowser's administration insists there was nothing unreasonable in the use of tear gas to enforce the curfew and is asking the court to dismiss the lawsuit by protesters, including Black Lives Matter DC. The media that spent the past year denouncing the Trump administration over its alleged use of tear gas seems largely silent as Bowser's administration claims its own use of force was reasonable. After the Lafayette Park operation, Bowser declared that, quote, "If you were like me, you saw something that you hoped you would never see in the United States of America," end quote. Now our government is arguing not only that the protesters' claims should be dismissed, but that the district did and can continue to use tear gas in such situations, even to enforce a curfew. So another example of do what I say and not as I do. All right, let's continue on here. We're going to try to we got a few more, several more articles here. Oh, and more news of the grievance grifters extraordinaire not wanting to spend the money on the people they exploit. So this article by another Kevin Downey article, race baiting pays for BLM, but not the families of the dead they exploit. Oh, come on, man.
Come on, man.
Mega millionaire and wildly successful race baiter Patrisse Cullors, the Marxist co-founder of Black Lives Matter, stepped down from her organization last week, taking 4 or 5 mansions and a mad stack of cheddar with her. Oh, he has quite a way of words. Good morning, Maniac Man. Nice to see you back. What's happening? Okay. And good morning. Why are you so angry? And no, that's a name, not a statement. BLM took in $90 million last year after the death of George Floyd. Cullors seems to have kept a nice slice of that commie pie, and a lot of people are not okay with that, including the parents of the dead black people BLM exploited for profit. Samaria Rice, the mother of 12-year-old Tamir Rice, shot by cops for pointing a realistic-looking pellet gun at them, told the New York Post that BLM is, quote, benefiting off the blood of our loved ones, and they won't even talk to us. Rice further added that she contacted BLM for the reopening the federal investigation into her son's death in 2014, trading several emails with Cullors a few years ago, but nothing happened. Ms. Rice is finally getting the message that most of us have already known. BLM is okay. Let me clarify. Good morning, Maddie. How you doing? Let me clarify. BLM Inc. Okay, we're talking about BLM Inc., the corporate grievance grifting organization. BLM Inc. is a vulture that feeds off the corpses of dead black people, even 12-year-olds. Michael Brown Sr.'s father, Michael Brown Sr., father of Michael Brown, who was shot while attacking a police officer twice in Ferguson, Missouri, is looking for some of that sweet BLM honeypot too. Where is all the money going? Michael Brown Sr. asked in a Tuesday press release from the International Black Freedom Alliance. How could you leave the families who are helping the community without any funding? Brown is demanding $20 million for himself and various other Ferguson activists. He was reported to have been giving a whopping $500 from BLM. Translation, my thug kid got shot. Pay me. Well, now, let's not. He's a grieving father. Let's not be, you don't have to be, what's the word? Antagonistic? No, that's not it. Anyway, he's a grieving father, even though, his son we know why his son got killed. In a repulsive display of buzzardry, Michael Brown Sr.'s mother-in-law, Pearlie Gordon, sold the not-so-collectible Michael Brown's Hands Up Don't shirt t-shirts until she was jumped and pumped by 30 family members, including Michael Brown's real mother and grandmother. The vandals ripped down Gordon's sales tent and ran off with $400 in cash and $1,500 in Michael Brown swag, thus ending Ms. Gordon's business venture. Tamika Palmer, the mother of Breonna Taylor, stated in a now deleted Facebook post from April 2021, I have never personally dealt with BLM Louisville and personally have found them to be a fraud. Lisa Simpson, whose son Richard Risher was shot by police while holding a gun, had something to say about Patrisse Cullors stepping down from BLM. Now she doesn't even have to show her accountability, Simpson told the Post. She can just take the money and run. Well, yes, go on, take the money and run. Nah. Go on, take the money and run. Yeah, she did that for sure. Anyway, we all knew this. It's BLM, man. It's BLM. It's BLM Inc. BLM Inc. All right, let's move on. Defunding the police is a dangerous reality in Missouri. Yes, the city of St. Louis is learning about what happens when you defund the police. As an editorial of the Washington Examiner, Earlier this month, the Missouri Attorney General's office secured first-degree murder convictions for Eric Lawson, who murdered his ex-girlfriend, her mother, and his 10-month-old infant son. He shot and killed Brianna Ray, who was 22 years old, and her mother, Gwendolyn Ray, who was 50, and then set fire to the apartment, locking the door behind him, killing by smoke and fire his son, Aiden. In close cooperation with law enforcement, we were able to bring Lawson to justice and ensure that he paid for the brutal and violent acts that robbed 3 people of their lives and ripped them out of their lives of their loved ones. What sadly gets lost in the discussions of criminal justice reform are victims such as Brianna, Gwendolyn, and baby Aiden. Last year in the city of St. Louis, we saw a 50-year high for murders. 262 people were murdered in the city. A vast majority of the more than 90% of those who were murdered were black. 17 children under the age of 17 were killed. This year, through the end of April, St. Louis has seen 69 homicides, putting the city on track to shatter last year's record-setting numbers. If the city of St. Louis were a country, we would have the highest homicide rate per capita of any other country in the world. A review of government homicide data reveals that the city of St. Louis has a higher murder rate than Honduras, El Salvador, South Africa, Venezuela, and Mexico. In fact, homicides in the city of St. Louis are 17 times greater per capita than those of the United States as a whole. Where are the outrage and the calls for justice for those victims and families? After all, they weren't just statistics. The numbers on a crime dashboard, they were real human beings with families, friends, and loved ones. Instead of outrage and forgotten victims of violence, we hear repeated calls to defund the police, a move that would undoubtedly embolden the dangerous criminal element that plagues our cities. Is this really a solution? To put fewer brave men and women on the streets to protect our lives and our property? To decrease the number of law enforcement who can investigate and help prosecute those who have cut short the lives of our fellow human beings, to expend human lives on an experiment that may not work? Defunding the police may sound good in a campaign ad and be popular among criminals hoping to take advantage of the lessened police presence, but it would have real grave consequences. Defunding the police will affect real people and their families and will likely have long-lasting negative impact on the economy and growth of the St. Louis region and the entire state of Missouri. It's an idea that should have been discarded on the editing room floor. And while some say that it's just a saying and that it doesn't really mean actually defunding the police, we should take those who use the phrase at their word. By saying defund the police, they really do mean defunding the police. For example, the St. Louis budget proposed by the mayor strips $4 million from the police department budget and eliminates almost 100 police officers' positions. This move was celebrated by Missouri Democratic Representative Corey Bush, who said, "Today's decision to defund the St. Louis Police Department is historic. It marks a new future for our city." Well, this guy right here says the future looks a little bloodier to me. Just saying. Anyway, unfortunately, the new future of our city will mean more death, violence, and destruction. And the similar things going on in Kansas City. In Kansas City, on the other side of the state, where there was a record number of murders in 2020, the mayor and city council last week approved taking over $40 million directly out of police departments and putting it towards social workers and community outreach. So when there's a murder in your neighborhood, just call the social workers and let them investigate it. It isn't a refocus of resources. It is defunding the police. So defunding the police is no longer rhetoric or a campaign slogan. It has actually happened right here in the heartland. Missourians who have borne the brunt of vicious violence year after year will have no reprieve. So, and there's a little more to that one, but I'm not going to read the rest. But it gives you the idea. It's this whole rethinking policing is not popular in majority black areas, because all it does is give the criminals more opportunities. Why is this tied at on my here? Let me get rid of that. So, crime is up. Police resources are allocated based on where the crime is. It's not that that there are areas that are over policed. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Let's see, I'm running out of time here. In the Capitol riot case, the selfie insurrection. Well, prosecutors are seeking to drop the first Capitol riot case. I'm sure there'll be some howling about this. The case against Christopher Kelly of New York City is the first of nearly 500 stemming from the Capitol to collapse for lack of evidence. Federal prosecutors told a federal judge Tuesday that they intend to drop a Capitol riot case against a New York man accused of having been inside the Capitol during the siege in January. This is the first of nearly 500 Capitol riot cases to collapse for lack of evidence. The man, Christopher Kelly of New York City, was arrested on January 20th after the FBI said a paid confidential informant told agents that Kelly was posting material on a Facebook Messenger app about the riot and his plans to be in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. The informant said a photo taken inside the Capitol was also posted, according to the FBI. In the charging documents filed in court, the FBI agent said, quote, "I believe the messages and image reflect that Chris Kelly was using this account to inform associates that he had breached the Capitol and was inside." The court document accompanying the charges included photos that the FBI said showed Kelly on the Capitol grounds, but they did not include any further indication that he entered the building. Other riot cases have included data from cell phone service providers indicating that defendants' phones were inside the building. This case did not, nor did it include any photos of Kelly himself inside the Capitol or offer any direct proof that he was among the rioters. In seeking to drop the case Tuesday, prosecutors wrote that upon reflection of the facts currently known to the government believes dismissal serves in the interest of justice. The motion to dismiss said the government and defense counsel have discussed the merits of the case. Kelly's attorney, Edward McMahon Jr. of Middleburg, Virginia, had no comment. So basically, they accused the guy of being in the Capitol building because a paid FBI anonymous source said he was. But they have no pictures of him inside the building. They have a picture of him outside, like there were thousands and thousands of other people outside. And but they have no evidence that he was inside. I wonder how long he's been in one of those jails, because they weren't giving bail to any of these people. Oh, there you go. That was for Renee Miette. But they have no evidence of him being inside. Anyway, let's move along. Remember the other day I was making predictions, or I made a prediction that, you know what? We're going to start seeing regarding the COOF and regarding the lab leak theory and all this other stuff. We're going to start seeing lots of articles that are going to be changed subtly from many months ago regarding things surrounding the COOF, right? Because they know that this lab leak theory that's, starting to gain some credence is gaining credence. And so we're going to see, we're going to see lots of articles that are going to have little changes to them to make it look like they knew all along. Well, I think I said that. What did I say? Did I say that Monday, 2 days ago? Well, it's Wednesday and we got our first one. Democracy dies in stealth. The Washington Post edits a 15-month-old headline. Here's the original headline. Tom Cotton keeps repeating coronavirus conspiracy theory that was already debunked. This is from February last year, where Cotton said, it might be from a lab. A conspiracy theory that was debunked. Now here's the new headline. Tom Cotton keeps repeating coronavirus fringe theory that scientists have disputed. Wait a minute. Wait. Debunked. Disputed? Debunked. Disputed? Disputed? Let me do my best Kermit the Frog imitation right here. Oh, so Washington Post edits 15-month-old headline that claimed COVID-19 lab leak theory was already debunked. The Washington Post corrected a 15-month-old headline that claimed the theory of COVID-19 originating from a lab in Wuhan was already debunked. The correction appears to have been made over the weekend, shortly after the Daily Caller reached out to the Post seeking comments on the headline, given the increased interest in the possibility that Stupid 19 had in fact originated from the Wuhan lab that was studying bat-borne coronaviruses. The Post original headline from February 17, 2020 read, Tom Cotton keeps repeating coronavirus conspiracy theory that has already been debunked. Republican Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton had appeared on Fox News Sunday Morning Futures with Marina Bartiromo and pointed to the Wuhan Institute of Virology as a potential origin of the disease. Debunked. The headline was updated to read, Tom Cotton keeps repeating various coronavirus fringe theory that scientists have disputed. And the word, because they changed, it went from, I didn't even see that part. It changed from conspiracy theory to fringe theory. That's a little bit of a softening of the language too. The move, oh my goodness. So debunked and conspiracy theory have been removed because then as now, this is the Washington Post's excuse. The headline was updated to read, Tom Cotton keeps repeating blah, 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 blah. With the correction that said the Post use of the words debunked and conspiracy theory had been removed because then as now, there was no determination about the origins of the virus. Well, wait a minute. Then as now, no. Then you said it was a conspiracy theory that was already debunked. That means it's definitively not true. Conspiracy theory had been debunked. But now you say then as now there was no determination about the origin of the virus? Well, you eliminated a determination of the origin of the virus when you said this particular conspiracy theory was debunked. Oh, lying bastards. PolitiFact also recently retracted a pants on fire fact check from September 2020 that called a Hong Kong virologist's claim that Stupid 19 was a lab-created virus as, quote, a debunked conspiracy theory. Several facts have pointed to the possibility of Stupid 19 lab leaks since early 2020, yada, yada, yada. That's the end of the point there. All right, keep it going. Almost done here. Let's see. And is Amazon trying to get cops killed? This is a good question because, so in a year where there are 141 police officers have died in the line of duty, 7 of whom were shot to death in May alone, Amazon is selling tons of hateful anti-police apparel, including Blue Lives Murder t-shirts, hoodies, and masks. 3 of the last 4 officers who died in the line of duty were Hispanic, so quit with the cops or white supremacist nonsense. Uber woke Amazon started selling the hateful swag less than a month ago after the death of George Floyd. Blue Lives Matter founder Sergeant Joe Imperatis spoke out against the outrage last year. It shows that Amazon is bending over backwards for this movement like many other companies are. That's not okay, Imperatis said. People can't be making t-shirts up, turning people against cops. It's going to cost somebody. Now, look, they're certainly fully have the right to do that, but I thought they were so worried about things that inspire violence, and it would seem that type of t-shirt might inspire violence. Oh, Cops lie, record everything. Yes, I'm sure that is just makes everyone feel warm and fuzzy about cops, which is not necessary. But you know, if Amazon's gonna stop, what was the book they stopped selling? Person did a book on trans people that was just discussing, you know, the hardships and stuff they go through, and even though it had a kind of a choppy title, right? But now they're just gonna keep having these kind of products on Amazon, which, you know, it's their prerogative, but it just tells you a little bit about what Jeff Bezos and gang are all about. All right, let's keep going. Reuters embarrassed itself and fact checks a Babylon Bee article. You know, every once in a while, some of these fact checkers, you'd think by now they would know what the Babylon Bee is. Anyway, the once neutral platform Reuters joined Snopes and PolitiFact in undermining conservative gags. Modern fact checkers have been having a tough time of late. They've been exposed as partisan, not truth tellers, too many times to count. The most recent embarrassment, fact checkers like PolitiFact dubbed the theory that Stupid 19 leaked from the Wuhan lab in China as pants on fire last year. The left-leaning service did an about-face last month. Critics rightly noticed its initial assessment flowed from partisan thinking, not stone-cold truths. But it's not just PolitiFact stepping a rhetorical rakes of late. Media platforms like Snopes and USA Today similarly beclown themselves with fact checks aimed at the right-leaning satire site that cleans mainstream comedy's clocks on a daily basis. The Babylon Bee offers satirical news, aka fakes, from a Christian-friendly GOP-leading flourish. The website offers a dollop of balance in a comedy world heavily tilted to the left, yet supposedly in August, news outlets and fact-checkers alike routinely fact-check their stories. Why? They want to diminish the Bee or even put its future on the line. Sounds hyperbolic? So Reuters, let's get into the Reuters one, is getting into the Bee fact-checking business. The Bee recently shared a faux story that Lego was introducing genderless blocks, which by their non-binary nature couldn't actually connect with each other. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Here it is. Lego invents the new genderless bricks with no male or female connectors. Oh my God. The target culture, which increasingly blurs the lines between men and women. Agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. The Bee has the right to tell the kind of jokes it wishes to tell, except the news stories caught the attention of PolitiFact again and Reuters. Here's where the danger lies for the Bee, courtesy of PolitiFact. This post was flagged as part of Facebook's effort to combat false news and misinformation on its news feed. Read more about our partnership with Facebook. Meanwhile, Reuters chimed in. While the article was originally published on May 20th on Christian satirical website Babylon Bee, screenshots posted later to social media took the piece out of its comedic context and duped users into thinking it was serious. In the fact-checker's defense, the Bee satire often hits very close to home. That's what the best satire does. Still, we're not seeing similar fact checks for The Onion, the liberal fake news site, which offers a similar brand of humor. So anyway, Reuters took the time to fact check that. That is funny, though. I'm sorry. That's funny no matter who you are. Genderless bricks that don't connect with anybody. That's hilarious. Anyway. This is interesting. You know how we were talking about how Facebook kind of has, Facebook's not, these social media sites aren't necessarily publishers. They are platforms. Well, this is a weird note from Mark Zuckerberg to Anthony Fauci. From Mark Zuckerberg, March 15, 2020, to Fauci Anthony from the NIH and IAID. Thanks and ideas. Tony, Mark writes, I wanted to send a note of thanks for your leadership and everything you're doing to make our country's response to this outbreak as effective as possible. Well, that's kind of you. I also wanted to share a few ideas of ways we could help you get your message out. What? I thought Facebook was just a platform for people to put their stuff. You want to help him get his message out? Well, first of all, good morning, Civic Magic. Good morning, Francis Barrett. Nice to see you all here. First of all, ways we could help get your message out. I thought it was a platform, not a publisher. And also, if you look, here's the problem with getting Dr. Fauci, the greatest scientist and medical mind in the history of the United States ever. There's a problem with getting Dr. Fauci's message out. Does anyone know what it is? Maybe I'll wait to hear you guys in the chat because it takes about 45 seconds. I'm gonna wait. Okay, before I'm gonna go to the next round, then I'm gonna come back to this. What is the problem with helping Dr. Anthony Fauci get his message out by Facebook, okay, or Twitter or other platforms? What is the problem? What is the biggest problem you would have if you're trying to get Dr. Fauci's message out? Put your answer in the chat. We'll see who comes up with the answer that I'm looking for. We'll move on and we'll come back to that. I said I was going to talk about Jonathan Turley. There's a couple Jonathan Turley stories here because he's kind of on fire lately. Turley says the Supreme Court may be sending a stealth message to Democrats. Listen to this because this is very poignant. Legal analyst Jonathan Turley thinks the United States Supreme Court is sending a message to the Democrats about their not so secret plans to pack the court, and I think this theory has merit. Turley believes that 4 recent unanimous decisions by the court are a message to the Democratic majority that the Supreme Court is not so rigidly ideological as Democratic members and activists suggest. In the Garland case, the court ruled again unanimously to reverse the Ninth Circuit in an opinion written by Justice Neil Gorsuch on the rule in immigration disputes regarding the credibility of non-citizens' testimony cannot be reconciled with the terms of the Immigration and Nationality Act. In Cooley, the court unanimously ruled in an opinion by Justice Stephen Breyer that a tribal police officer has the authority to detain temporarily and to search non-Native American traveling on public right-of-way running through the reservation. Last week, there were 2 unanimous opinions, making this 6-9-0 rulings in 2 weeks. Justice Sotomayor wrote the opinion in United States versus Palomar and Santiago, an immigration decision that ruled for the government and against the immigrant. It also ruled unanimously in Territory of Guam versus the United States, in an opinion written by Justice Clarence Thomas. The court ruled in favor of Guam on the collection of funding from the U.S. government to remediate environmental pollution on the island. Turley also notes that a number of current and former justices, including Ruth Bader Ginsburg, have publicly warned against packing the court. If anything, that would make the court look partisan. It would be that only one side saying, when we're in power, we're going to enlarge the number of judges so we can have more people who would vote the way we want them to, RBG said shortly before he died. But that hasn't stopped Democrats from insisting that the court needs reform, or as some Democratic leaders have tried to brand it, unpacking, because they're lying, bastards. Democrats have laid the groundwork to falsely claim that the Republican Party has packed the court, and they are simply trying to bring balance back. To do this, they deem various acts by the GOP, quote, court packing, unquote, when they are most certainly not. The litany of unanimous rulings amplifies the fact that most cases are resolved with compromise and different alignments with the justice, suggested Turley. There are always big-ticket cases that produce more ideological divisions, but they are the exception rather than the rule for the court. These are honest ideological differences, and we want the justices to be consistent on their underlying principle. However, most of the work the court remains less ideologically driven on issues ranging from statutory interpretations to evidentiary rules. So basically what we're saying is the court's telling the Democrats, hey, no. Yeah, this is unnecessary to pack the courts, because most of the stuff we're going to have unanimous. We're going to be unanimous on a lot of the stuff. And even if we aren't, some of them, I think they've decided, hey, this case is going this way. We're all going to be unanimous. I don't know. It's FTG to the Democrats who want to pack the court. All right, let's go back to my question here. Let's see. What are the answers? Even Fauci doesn't know what his message will be. Will it Forge? Good morning, and that is part of it. You are on the right track. Avocados Diabli, his message is constantly contradictory, and half the time it violates Facebook rules. That's a good one, and that you're definitely also on the right track. No offense for that's not it. Obama would have had a stream. Okay, never mind. Obama would have a stream kick if RBG stepped down in 2015-16, but nah, she was a selfish bitch. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, here's my answer to the question for Facebook. The dangers of saying a few ideas of way we could help you get your message out. If Facebook was helping Dr. Anthony Fauci to get his message out, they would probably have to change it about every other week. Right? Yes, they would, Barty. Yes, they would, P-Dawg. You'd have to change the message every week because he keeps changing his mind. All right, another Jonathan Turley happening in another article here. Raw thuggery. Jonathan Turley blasts Senator Blumenthal for threatening to take down the Supreme Court. Oh, yeah. George Washington University professor Jonathan Turley said Tuesday that it is raw thuggery on behalf of the Democratic Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal to threaten to take the Supreme Court down if it doesn't support the Democratic program. Blumenthal stated, quote, "It will inevitably fuel and drive an effort to expand the Supreme Court if this activist majority betrays fundamental constitutional principles." I mean, oh my gosh. And according to Turley, I mean, this sort of raw thuggery, this telling these conservative justices, vote with your liberal colleagues or else we'll take down the court if we have to. It's incredibly reckless rhetoric, Turley said on the story with Martha McCallum. I'm just astonished that President Joe Biden has allowed this to go on. Yeah, you know what? Because when Democrats threaten the court, no big deal. No big deal. Come on. He wasn't really threatening the court and threatening to make it a partisan, body. They would never do that. They're just trying to right the wrong. They're just trying to unpack the court because, they need to unpack the court. FTG to Representative or whatever, Senator Blumenthal. Fuck him. And there's Nadler, too, wants to expand the court to 13 justices because 13 is just a perfect number until 15 is the perfect number or until 18 is the perfect number or 21 is the perfect number, and depending on who's in office. Let's just stop that nonsense. All right, let's finish up. Oh, no. Oh, wait. I can't do that one. I got 2 DeSantis stories first. I got it. You can't have this one yet. I got to finish with that one. That there's no pun intended when I say that either. You'll know what I'm talking about. All right, Ron DeSantis signs a bill banning biological men from competing in women's sports. The Republican Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, signed the bill Tuesday banning biological males from women's sports. The governor signed the bill on the first day of Pride Month, sparking a backlash from LGBTQ advocates, though DeSantis said the law was not intended to be a message. First of all, it's not a message to anything other than we're going to protect fairness in women's sports. The governor said, we think it's important they compete on a level playing field. We see what happens when you don't have that. So let's just say that the people in Pride Month are up in arms about that. But look, my opinion, and based on the only study that I think has enough subjects to have any merit, there's good reason to ban biological males, physiological males from competing with women. There are really, no matter how long they've been on hormones, no matter what amount of time has passed since they began taking hormones, there is still a training advantage even after 2 years, even though some international bodies require 2 years, and now they're trying to hedge on that because that was too invasive on some, women, as they will just call themselves, and whatever. I'm going to distinguish between gender and sex for this particular talk, and so physiological males still have an advantage after 2 years of being on hormones. And that was the study said, and there was more than 1,000 subjects. There was one study that some lady in Washington did, she being a transgender woman herself, did on 8 subjects and mostly in master's divisions of running, which is a whole different animal than when you're talking about world-class athletes at the peak of their performance in a peak of fitness status. And It's a tough question, but it's only fair to those women to not have to compete against physiological males in most sports, period. And so the Fairness Women's Sports Act will empower Florida women and girls to be able to compete on a level playing field. This will ensure the opportunities for things like college scholarship will be protected for female athletes for years to come. Now, apparently, because of this decision, DeSantis got a little backlash from the NCAA with a threat to pull events from the state. and DeSantis says, well, to hell with your events. We don't care. That's not what the point is here. Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis slammed the NCAA during a Fox News interview on Tuesday night that highlighted a bill that DeSantis signed earlier in the day that protected girls' sports in the state. I think these bills were going through various legislatures. I remember the NCAA put out a statement saying that any state that enacts this, we're not going to hold events there, DeSantis said. And so I called the Speaker of the House in Florida and said, did you hear what he said? And he's like, yeah. I said, we definitely got to get this done. You can't be cowed by these organizations, or particularly by woke corporations, for doing the right thing. And so in my view throughout this, the whole time, we have to protect our girls. It's discriminatory to force them to compete against biological males, DeSantis continues. And so if the price of having a tournament is that I have to deny equal opportunities to hundreds of thousands of young girls, women, and athletes throughout Florida, I'm much more willing to stand with the girls. To hell with these events. Well, that there is some bravery. Oh, you're a Kryptonian. Goodness gracious, Lord Stanhope. That's interesting. I have never met a Kryptonian. All right. I have one last story, but let me just remind you to hit the like button if you'd like what we do. Share the stream, and if you want to throw a couple bucks in the tip jar, you still have a couple minutes, because I have one last story, and this is the feel-good story of the day. I try to end on a positive note, or at least something that will make you chuckle. Why do I have that shit on my screen? Anyway, and this story today, I'm going to call it the feel-good story of the day. Real quick, thanks Tall Person for tweeting out the show. I greatly appreciate it. Please share the stream. So there was this Danish journalist, a journalist in Denmark, who was doing a story. And let me just read the story. I'm going to skip the headline for you, but let's just check out the story. One radio reporter went all the way to get a scoop on a swingers club near Copenhagen when she had sex with a man she was interviewing. Louise Fletcher can be heard moaning during the on-the-record intercourse, part of a 2-minute segment that aired on Radio 4 in Denmark. I don't have a boyfriend. That definitely made it a lot easier, Fisher told the German publication Bild, according to a translation by the Daily Mail. My mother just thinks it's funny and laughs. My father thought it was really cool. Gee, sure, Dad, dear old Dad, thought it was great. The X-rated segment focused on the reopening of a swingers club named Swingland in Ishaj after the lifting of Stupid 19 restrictions. Ed Fisher discussed the reactions to her unorthodox interview style. Most of them were very positive. They thought it was brave and cool, she reported. Others think that I've crossed the line in journalism. A Thursday tweet from Radio 4 linked the segment, warning it got hot and wet for both our reporter and the guest, the tweet stated. Good gosh. One point during the segment, full of sounds of body slapping, the journalist asked the man she is having sex with if he can tell her what he's seeing, and he responds, a delicious woman. Oh, I'm seeing that ass. Okay, the English language Copenhagen Post reported. It hadn't been the plan ahead of the report to participate in the club, reports said. Tina Kroglin, Radio 4's head of news, told BT that the station approved the move. I feel like it's just, I just think it's cool when the reporters try to make the stories in a different way, she said. So there's the reporter. She got some, and her mother thinks it's just funny and laughs, and Dad says, oh, I think it's great. All right. And on that saucy note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. I'm here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 1500 GMT for those keeping track at home. And also, thank you to our sponsors today, Tall Person, Tarai Deos, and Scrappy Pirate. Thank you for throwing a few bucks in the tip jar. And thanks to all you who share the stream, who hit the like button and participate in the chat. And if you're watching on replay, or even if you're watching now, come back and throw a comment in the comment section. I will have the all the tabs for the stories today in the description right after we sign off here. And on that note, it's time for me to go. My name is PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.